A Black Lives Matter protest taking a troubling turn. Watch.
Blanket, fry like bacon, pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon, pigs in a blanket, fry like bacon, pigs in a blanket.
Protesters chanting "pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon" as they marched to the Minnesota State Fair on Saturday. That march came less than 24 hours after Sheriff's Deputy Darren Goforth was gunned down at a Houston area gas station. How do you reverse this troubling trend? Deneen Borelli, chief political correspondent for the Conservative Review and Fox News contributor, and Basil Smikle, president and founder of Basil Smikle Associates, adjunct professor at Columbia University and contributor for The Hill. Good morning to both of you. Bill. Listen, there's something going on out there that can't continue. Cannot.
My thoughts and prayers are with the family of Deputy Goforth. Listen, you know, Bill, we are witnessing an unprecedented attack against our law enforcement, and this has been bubbling and brewing for quite some time. The propaganda campaign that is coming out of this movement is very dangerous and very divisive. And what it's doing is emboldening those in this campaign to be aggressive and to be violent against white Americans and against police officers, and it's got to stop.
I could not disagree more. I could not disagree more with the rest of her statement about the movement. The crime against this officer was horrific, and it was tragic.
Shot him in the back and proceeded to shoot him time and time again when he was on the pavement.
Exactly. But you cannot impugn the Black Lives Matter movement for the statements, which I think are an aberration in this particular case,
but
then impugn them, but not the movement. Black Lives Matter. They are out there talking. They are talking about
what they are saying in the
streets, leader of that movement in that area, quite frankly. And this movement has stood for justice. No matter how you cut it, it has stood for justice. That right there, what you just heard is an aberration. That is not. That is not.
No. Is it an aberration?
It is, because if you look at when you look at the two officers that were shot in Brooklyn last summer, you had African Americans.
2014.
You had African Americans and Latinos standing with those officers in support of the police department.
All right.
It was an aberration.
Aberration or not?
This is a movement that needs to be called out by all Americans, and especially Black Americans who should be leaders to step up. And by the way, where is President Obama on this? Where the bleep is President Obama? He's in Alaska climbing a mountain, renaming a mountain, and probably taking photo ops with polar bears. We haven't heard anything from him on this. He's out there on his climate change agenda. This is absolutely outrageous, and it's got to end. I know a lot of police officers who wants to be a police officer in this day and age when they have a bullseye on their back, and we don't have leadership calling.
Hang on one second. This is the sheriff in Houston, Texas. Watch.
We've heard Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Well, cops' lives matter too. So why don't we just drop the qualifier and just say lives matter?
Why don't we?
Because there's nothing wrong with saying Black Lives Matter. It's like if you support cancer research, that doesn't mean that you're against any other type of research to help people who are sick. Black Lives Matter because African Americans and Latinos, but certainly African Americans, are being killed and harassed by police officers at a higher rate. There's nothing wrong with asking for justice. The problem is when you take folks who are saying, you know what, we want to go out there and do harm to police officers. That's not part of the movement. That's not what the movement has said, and no qualified person has said that.
Going on in urban communities, there's a lot of opportunities, and there's more interaction with blacks and the police officers. However, this movement needs to be called out for what it is. It's propaganda. They're inciting racial tension.
Asking for justice when people are getting killed. Asking for justice. How is that? Of course, I'm hearing what you're saying.
Listen, one at a time. Finish.
This movement needs to be called out for what it is. It's propaganda. It's very dangerous, very insightful, and we're going to see more and more people harmed, Bill, with this movement that's going on.
I thought what the chief said from Boston last hour was truly, it was profound.
Yes.
You cannot, as a police officer, go to a warrior mindset as opposed to a guardian mindset, because you're a cop to guard.
That's right.
Everyone. Final comment, Basil.
You got to protect and serve. And to that point, what Black Lives Matter, one of the things they're asking for is the demilitarization of police department, because they're acting in many cases, not all, more as an occupying force than the protect and serve.
Houston, Texas was a cold-blooded assassination. Deneen Borelli,
thank you. It was. No one would disagree with that.
Basil, thank you as well.
Thanks.
All right.